Hi, I'm James Schillinglaw, and I'm here on the island of Hvar, and we're right over the Hvar town in the Hvar fortress. And this is one of the essential places you really need to send your clients in Croatia. It really has been an eye-opener for me. It's one of the reasons why I came to Croatia with the ASTA Destination Expo, and now I'm here. And I'm here with my guide, and you're going to introduce yourself because my pronunciation is horrible, and tell me your company name.
So my name is Siniša Matković. You can call me just simply Simon because
that's easier, right?
It's much easier to remember and also to pronounce. And my company name is Secret Hvar. We reveal all secrets of this island to our customers.
So we're going to talk to Simon about the secrets of Hvar right here on Insider Travel Report. So stay tuned. Let's talk about what we just did. Today we took about a 5-6 hour trip around this wonderful island, and we sort of got, I know there's many more things to see, but we started, where do we start? We started in what was the former, it was called Hvar at one time, if I recall. Now what was it, it's now called?
Now it is called Stari Grad, which means the old town,
right.
And that is the oldest town in Croatia. It was founded 384 BC by ancient Greeks who came from island of Paros, so they named that town and also this island Pharos, which is similar, Paros, and that is actually origin of this name, because during Greek time it was called Pharos, during Roman time Pharia, during Byzantine time Hvar, and finally by Croatians it was called Hvar.
No, and so we walked around that wonderful town. We saw a lot of wonderful, buildings that dated from the 14th and 13th century, amazing places. And it is, you actually can get to there by the water, and it was accessible, but then they changed it here, and so now we're above what became the main town. And this is kind of, that town is now the second town, right?
Yeah, now it's the second town, but we started actually from the ruins of ancient Pharos, which are from 4th century BC. So also over there Romans built something in 3rd century BC. So we actually had some kind of historical timeline from foundations of Pharos from 4th century till Roman time, Byzantine time, and we saw something what is maybe the most interesting, because I believe that the most beautiful buildings here on the island are from 15th, 16th century. So we saw also the castle of poet Hektorović. We entered inside to see fish pond and museum, and also we walked through those streets. We could see also some Roman mosaics from 2nd century AD.
And they're really small little streets that you can just walk through. They're beautiful.
Yeah, those streets which were once very busy because that was one of the main merchant streets in the past. All jobs were there, all trade was there, and now unfortunately a little bit empty.
Well, for now, we'll see what happens. But and then we moved on, and we went to we passed through a lot of small villages, beautiful, old stone building villages that seem to have been there forever. And we ended up at one that you called kind of the Venice of Hvar, right?
Yes. So Vrbovska is one village which was founded in 15th century as a fisherman's village of people from neighboring village of Vrbanj. So that's why it's called Vrbovska, which means literally Bay of Vrbanj. So it was fisherman's village, and also it was and it's still famous for wine production, and now it is also one small tourist village. Why people call it Little Venice of Hvar? Because it has really long bay through the village, and also several bridges over that bay. So it remembers a little bit of Venice.
Yeah, and it really does. It's a Venice in miniature. And then, of course, we had to have lunch, right? And so we stopped at this incredible place right in the middle of the countryside. And tell us a little bit about that restaurant that we stopped at.
So that restaurant is owned by one guy whose brother is owner of one small farm. So we don't have so many farms anymore on the island.
What was the name of it?
The restaurant is called Kokot, which means the rooster.
Okay.
And that was actually a nickname of the family. And they have their farm, they have sheep, goats, they produce their own cheese. So we also tasted some local cheeses. We tasted also local lamb, local wines. So
cooked in a very interesting way, right?
Yeah, it's cooked under the bell with live coal, what you prepare in advance. So you cover that with live coal, and it cooks like 1 hour, half, 2 hours. So it's slow cooked food.
Yeah. So and then of course we were still hungry or something, or we were thirsty, because then you took me to this fabulous winery. And tell me a little bit about that winery, the name, and the gentleman that we met there was amazing.
Yeah. So we met Andro Tomic, one of the most famous winemakers in Croatia. We visited his winery, which was built in Roman style, 5 meters underground. So he used original material what they used in that time. And we also tasted 6 different wines. All wines.
6 different wines. So we're still standing. So they're hard to believe. Right?
Yes, and also
you're still driving.
Yeah, and what you mentioned before, all those wines were pretty strong. So the lightest one is
the alcohol content I kept saying was a lot higher than our wines, but they were all wonderful. They whites, reds, rosés, dessert wines, and he kept coming with the wines, and we kept drinking.
Yes, so we produce some really good wines. This is actually a very historical wine producing area. Officially, everything started with Greeks 384 BC, but I disagree with that. I believe that Illyrians, people who lived on this island before them, used to produce wines, and Greeks just continued this story about wines. So more than 2,500 years of wine production on Hvar Island.
Yeah, and then we luckily had a little food together with the wine, so we were able to get through. And then you took me on a marvelous drive, kind of on the spine of the island, above, way high up, and you see these incredible views, right?
Yes. So first we drove through one area which is pretty flat. It is the largest field on the islands, in all Adriatic islands.
And that was a UNESCO World Heritage Site too.
Yes. So it is the best preserved originally Greek field with original divisions. So from 2008 it is under protection of UNESCO as the best preserved field from Greek times with original Greek division of land. After that we drove uphill to about 400 meters, and over there we could see what I like to call Machu Picchu Hvar. We could see terraced fields that were built mostly in the 19th century when we started with really massive wine production, because in that time in Europe we had problem with phylloxera, which is a small insect which destroys the roots of grapes. And when French and Italians remained without their wines, we started to produce wines a lot, and we exported our wines to France and Italy in that time. After that, phylloxera came to the island, and after that it was the end of really good life. And in that time we had large immigration to the States, to New Zealand, Australia, Argentina, Chile, South Africa. Actually in that time everything was called America. People just wanted to move somewhere where they could find better jobs.
So the fields are not being used anymore. Some are being used for lavender, but not for wine growing anymore.
Yeah, from 1930s they used them for lavender, so lavender took over, and instead of planting wines, and wines need lots of care, people started to plant lavender at that time, and especially in 60s and 70s on this island people produce about 10% worse production of lavender. So everywhere you could see lavender fields, but unfortunately we had lots of forest fires. Price in the world market went down, so people just gave up. After every fire people replanted lavender, but then was another fire after 3-4 years, then another fire. People gave up. And also a difference between 1950s, 1960s, 70s and nowadays is that in that time people didn't have private jobs, and mostly now they have private jobs, so they invest that money to do something for themselves instead of doing works in the field.
Well, it was an amazing drive all through that, and then of course after all that wine and all that driving, we had to get a nice espresso coffee down in the town of Hvar, which we just got back from, and then now we're up here. But it's been an amazing trip. I want to thank you for showing us all about this island, and please come to Hvar and join Simon and really get to know this island. It's a very, very special place, and again, thank you so much.
You're welcome. And just to mention one more thing, just behind us there is one important building for us, that is Arsenal. In that building you have the oldest public theater in Europe, which was founded in 1612. So don't miss that when you come to Hvar to visit it.
Anything else you'd like to tell our travel advisors out there about this island?
You should come here and discover, because we have so many things, and I think we cannot film it in just a few minutes. Because I usually say that if you come here for about 2 weeks, every day you can do a different thing and explore different part of the island.
Absolutely, and unfortunately I'm leaving tomorrow, but I'm coming back. I got to tell you, I got to come back. You're right, we're going to come back to it, right?
Yes, of course. Okay. Then we'll go to explore other part, hidden part of the island, Four-Way Drive, which is an amazing part of the island, but you see the island from this different perspective.
So more of Secret Hvar, right?
More Secret Hvar, yes.
I'm James Schillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.